The early 2000s was a very interesting time for video games. A new millennium and the beginning of a new console generation made way for a host of new IPs with fresh ideas and exciting new worlds to explore. No matter your preference, there was a game for you. With the success of Jak and Daxter, Naughty Dog had quickly laid the groundwork for another successful trilogy for Sony. I remember being so excited for the sequel back in the day, especially after being left with the open ending of the first. What was the artifact we found? Will we get closer to who the precursors were? And will we get to see more of this fantastic world that's already been established so well? The answer to these questions is most definitely yes. And then some.
After being transported to a foreign world, wrongfully imprisoned, then tortured for 2 years, anyone would give up hope. Well, almost anyone.
Let's go take care of business.
This world is better left to Jak. Rated T for Teen.
With Jak 2, Naughty Dog decided to take the series in a new direction, a darker take on their iconic characters. You get that instantly upon booting it up. Instead of the tropical fantasy setting, we are greeted by a cold, oppressive intro sequence, giving us a glimpse of the main area of the game, Haven City. As Daxter appears to lighten things up, literally, notice the lack of Daxter's name as we go. Jak is now the focus of the series, this is his story, and Daxter's along for the ride. Set almost immediately after the first game, we catch up with the gang Samos, Kira, and Jak and Daxter back at their village, with the artifact that they had found. Jak activates it, opening a portal, and immediately things turn sinister. A monster appears who seems to be familiar with Jak, and in sheer panic, he activates the cart they're in, and are pulled inside. Separated from the others, Jak and Daxter look up to a world that is almost alien to them, with buildings stretching up to the sky. Jak and Daxter have no time to get their bearings before being approached by armed guards. Jak is captured, but Daxter gets away, promising to rescue his friend.
We've been waiting for you.
Don't worry, Jak! I'll save you before you know it!
Cut to 2 years later, and Jak is still imprisoned, being experimented on with Dark Eco by the villainous Baron Praxis and his second-in-command, Ero. As soon as the two leave, Daxter appears as promised, and after a game of silence, Jak growls his first words.
What'd they do to you? I've been looking for you for 2 years! Say something! Just this once!
I'm gonna kill Praxis.
Right now, we gotta get you out of here. Just let me figure out how
Before Daxter can take off Jak's chains, he transforms into Dark Jak, a monstrous version of himself. He calms down when Daxter gets through to him, and already loaded with questions and a thirst for payback, we head off to break out of prison and into the city beyond. As you can already see, we have a vastly different tone compared to the first. As I said before, the early 2000s was interesting for games, especially for the open world genre, as it was still in its infancy. Though one game came out and suddenly its influence was everywhere. I'm of course talking about GTA 3. Dark, edgy, adult themes were all the rage, as devs tried to aim games at the teen demographic, anti-heroes who don't obey the rules and look cool doing it. A close example was the Prince of Persia games. Those started as a light-hearted adventure romp through ancient Persia. But then it changed, and suddenly we had this edgelord prince with eyeliner and who swears a lot. When given control of Jak, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is just copy and paste from the first game. Same attacks, identical animations, though I'd put that down to if it ain't broke don't fix it, since control of Jak was fantastic to begin with. Let's talk about the first stage and compare it to the previous game. In Geyser Rock, it did well to communicate what kind of game we will be playing. It was an open world that is focused on your exploration of each area, and it gives you a choice of which challenges to tackle, as you don't need every power cell for completion, so it gave you options on which challenges is more fun to you. The prison here in 2 is very different to the holiday destination of Geyser, but we do see the change in game direction. It is much more linear by design and has a bigger focus on set pieces and character interactions throughout as many missions. Yeah, I mentioned missions. That is the GTA influence that we're going to be seeing. Instead of going from area to area and exploring to find the different power cells, we are actually going by a mission by mission structure, almost exactly like the GTA series. This brings up some issues for me which I'll complain about later on in the review, so stick around for that nonsense.
We're free, Jack! Thanks to me. Nice to breathe some fresh air, huh? We'll get that Baron Praxis guy, all right.
One of my few gripes about the first game was the lack of depth to the characters we meet on our adventure. Yeah, they would tell us what to do, but we would never get to know their motivations or anything of interest about them. They only seem to exist within the quest that they set for us. That problem is fixed here. Story is now a major focus, so over time we get to see character growth, we get to know them as people within the world, and we see our heroes gather allies throughout the game, who we really start to root for by the end.
Well, we shook the heat.
One of my favourites of the new characters is Torn, who is one of the members of the resistance movement who's fighting against the Baron and his Crimson Guard. He's hard on Jack at first, but we find out he used to be a guard himself, which is a way more interesting development than anything the first had to offer narratively.
Woo! Being a big hero sure makes you thirsty.
When travelling the open world, we are given a choice of vehicles to use. We can hijack from NPCs at any time, which is the most common form of transport, or we could use a hoverboard, which we are given a few missions into the game. The hover cars are the most practical from getting from A to B, and there are differences in performance across each variant. Some are fast but weak, and some are average in speed but can take more damage. You'll need to try them out separately to figure that out, however, as there are no stats to compare. The Crimson Guard are ever present in the city, and patrols are everywhere. They won't react if you steal a citizen's vehicle, but they will chase you down if you bump into them or one of their vehicles. This initiates the wanted phase. There is no escalation like in GTA. There's the same types of enemies that will hunt you down, regardless of what you did. This initiates a flash of red on the minimap, and all guards will be hostile as you flee. In my experience, these guys just become a nuisance, especially during a timed mission, when literally every second counts. So you try your best to avoid messing with these guys outside of main missions. In this world, the power source that was Eco is in short supply, so we don't have the super abilities that were introduced previously. Instead, we have
Guns. Lots of guns.
Both players, right? We're both looking for a piece of the action, right? I think we can do business, right?
We did you a favor. Now it's your turn. Why is the Baron giving eco to metalheads?
Questions like that could get a person killed, eh? Zig, Pierre Capitan here and his friend, Bonus. If you want to see what that baby can do, try the gun course outside. Show me some skill with that hardware.
As we complete missions, we are rewarded with guns and upgrades to said guns. We have a shotgun, a rifle, and a minigun. There is also the Peacemaker, which we get close to the end, but it's very rarely used, so I don't want to get into what that is. Mixing up combat with this arsenal is a lot of fun, and is satisfying blowing hordes of metalheads into the Shadow Realm. I don't like the auto aim so much, however, as it can be frustrating trying to shoot at the target you want, amongst a bunch of other enemies. The game does try its best guess, but usually it would miss the mark. this brings me on to the difficulty of the game. It's generally okay, but damn, some missions can be just sadistic, especially the ones with a time limit, especially those ones. There's just no room for error, any mistake is costly, so if you crash or miss a turn, be prepared for a restart because this game demands a perfect run every time.
Into each well.
That being said, I really don't mind the challenge. It's just such a leap from the first game that it totally caught me by surprise. And once you hit those walls, you're just going to have to leave the game for a day or two and come back, and you will persevere. The challenges they get into your head, and the more mistakes you make, it's hard to come back from it. So you kind of just need to have a cooldown period in between these missions. That's what I did. Take this one mission for example, where you're given 2 minutes on your hoverboard to dump these bombs into 6 separate vents. These vents are scattered around the area, so you have to figure out the best path to take, the quickest path, so you can preserve enough time so you can reach each and every one. I was stuck in this for so long when this game came out that it stopped my progress and I had to leave the game. Like I had to move on. It wasn't until many moons later I went back and I did it first try. This run that you're seeing, this took me a good few tries. When I was streaming this before the review, I died over and over again, falling in the eco, taking the wrong path, running out of time. I was just getting frustrated, so I had to walk away. I came back the next day, did it first try. So you really have to be in the mindset to play this game. It just doesn't care about how you're feeling. If you're tired too bad, you need to come back later when you're fully energized. Outside of the main missions, there are other tasks dotted around the city, such as time trial races where you need to go through each ring as fast as possible. There are collectible time trials as well, such as the one you're seeing, where you have to collect all the bags around this section of the city. And these earn you precursor orbs, and precursor orbs in this game give you access to secret cheats. I haven't really bothered collecting them, it's not my thing, but if it's your thing, go for it. There's lots of fun cheats you could put on that changes the game. You can go to the gun range and aim for the best score with each weapon. Or you can go to the stadium on your hoverboard to rack up points Tony Hawk style using different combos. These are just little extra things to do, and I never had the inkling to go for it. I never really wanted to complete the game 100%. I'm just here for the story and just a little distraction. But if you're a completionist, there are collectibles to find and extra challenges to take. So the game is filled with things for you. But you do get a lot of bang for your buck here. There's a lot of value in this package, and I'm pretty sure you'll have fun either way, regardless if you want to do all the content or not. The main story is long enough that you'll feel satisfied, I'm sure. Something I've left to last is Dark Jack. It's an odd one to me. The story tells us this is an almost uncontrollable form. Jack struggles with his darkness, but we don't go too far into that. It would have been cool if it was its own character within Jack, the devil on his shoulder, and Daxter would have been the good influence. I just sense a missed opportunity here as barely any characters react or question when he transforms during gameplay. Even during cutscenes, characters overlook this. We unlock the form when we collect enough Dark Eco to fill a meter, and activate it with R2. It's melee focused, and we have extra damage against the tougher enemies. He can be of use if overwhelmed since there are area clearing abilities. Being on a timer, it's fair as he's very strong, but losing the form after using one of these moves is a bit ridiculous. I found myself rarely using it, which is a shame. I like the design. I think it's pretty cool.
That was cool. Do it again.
Something's happening to me. Something he did. I can't control it.
Overall, I think Jak 2 is a great sequel. Not perfect, but it builds on what came before very well. Giving Jak a voice was risky, but it paid off, giving us great character moments between the cast, especially between Jak and Daxter themselves, elevating their friendship to a true partnership, which was satisfying and left gamers waiting for more.
The metalheads are drawn to it.
No kidding. We used to know the guy that lived there.
So, you're the new recruits who keep getting into trouble.
Oh now, not you!
Welcome to our humble underground movement. I am known as the Shadow, but you may call me Samos. And you are?
Jeez, Jack, we went through all that to meet His Holiness? Old Logger-the-Head, Grandpa Green?
Don't you know who we are?
Sorry, kid. Never seen you before. And I never forget a face. Especially one that ugly.
So it begins.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video. It means a lot. Worked very hard on it for the past few weeks. Please consider subscribing and following my Twitch, where I will be playing all the games I will cover in the future. It will all be in the description, so don't you worry about that. Have a lovely day and see you in the next one. Cheerio!